Hi, I'm Griffin Campbell, professor of saxophone here at LSU, and I'm here to talk about a little bit about set one of the All-State materials for Louisiana All-State auditions. This is Etude number 11 and 14 from the Ferling famous studies, and they have little tricky bits. So particularly both of them have interesting problems. One of the big problems with the first etude is that it's in 6/8 and it's slow. So it's really important that you count in 6. And that can be difficult for people who are really used to counting 6/8 and 2. So take it slow, get a metronome, slow down. The marked tempo is 8th equals 72. Most people play it a little bit faster than that, not much. But if you start slower than that and work on the measures that have 16th notes in them, it'll be handy. It's also important for you to get the ornaments that are there. The fourth measure of the second line has a trill in it, and that trill goes from G to A. That's a little difficult to deal with because you have to move this finger by itself. This one, right here. That ring finger is pretty weak, and it's difficult to move it. So your job is to move twice to A, and then back down to F sharp. The grace note figure is the trill and a pair of grace notes. You have 1/8 note to make all those motions. So it takes some practice time to be able to make that motion in that little bit of time. But if you devote yourself to that, you can make it happen. The other measure that's difficult is the third line, second measure. It has all those 30-second notes and sextuplet 30-second notes, and a grace note figure that precedes it. So if you just play the figure without the rhythm, get used to how those notes work out, and then place the grace notes just before beat 1. So that they take time away from the last note of the previous bar. That's almost always the case in these Ferling etudes, that the grace notes take time away from the note before the note they resolve to. Does that make sense to you? If it doesn't, let me know. Okay, and then there are grace notes at the end of the stringendo, which I need to talk about too, because most people have a tendency to either ignore that stringendo or really overdo that stringendo. Be gentle, just a little bit of speeding up. Okay, just a little bit of acceleration, and then you're back into the old time where it says tempo. Then there's the trill right before the tempo, and that trill is from B to C. I hear people in auditions occasionally trying to trill from B to C doing this. There's a key for this, okay, group? When you're holding the B, the middle side key, right here, you operate that key, you can do this trill with great ease. You can put a bunch of them in there if you want to, but all you need is 2 moves up to the C, back to the B, then down to the A and back to the B. A 7-note figure. With the A-B just before the downbeat of the next measure. I might be doing 3. 2 is all you need. What else is hard about this? Well, we got dots. And that means you have to count and subdivide. You got dots on 8th notes, and that means you have to play to the and of 2 a lot of times. If you go and look at bar 4 of the first line, you've got a dotted 8th note and then 3/16. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 1. A lot of people panic when they see a dot. Don't panic, just count. Work it out slowly, and then your life will be brilliant. Go slow, life is easier. Let's see. There are 30-second notes following a dot in the first measure of the last line, which means you've really got to be aware of how fast those 30-second notes are. In your mind, you should be subdividing 30 seconds as you come into this bar. So instead of just you should be thinking 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 5 and a 1E da ba dum. Okay? Oh, I blew it. Yeah. So if you think about all 4 of those 30 seconds and the 2 of the 30-second notes that are in the dot as well, you won't be early to the 30 seconds. And that's what usually happens to people. They end up getting early out of dots. Listen and count. Subdivide. Okay. Last thing. There are a couple of places in this etude where there are staccatos under a slur. And you'll hear people do all kinds of different things here. The right thing to do is a slight accent, a little bit of separation. This is a string technique. It's called portato. What it's doing in an oboe saxophone etude is, well, it's anybody's guess. But my guess is that Ferling is trying to give us a problem to solve. He does it all the time. So these notes are slightly separated, but mostly it's about an accent, okay? A subtle, slight accent. And that's in the next to the last measure of the second line. Also, the triplets in the second bar of the second line, there are brackets there that look like slurs, but those are really staccatos. In fact, staccato is just a light kind of accent. So in this particular case, although when you're in band, you need to go ahead and play short because there's more than just you, here in this case, you can be a little longer and a little more elegant. That's plenty staccato for your judge.